Are you feeling drained, confused, or broken by the actions of others? Do you struggle with the weight of rejection, manipulation, or emotional pain? In this video, we dive deep into the power of God's love and the freedom He offers. You'll learn how the storm you face doesn't define you, and how God is using your pain as the foundation for your healing and restoration. We'll explore how to reclaim your worth, your joy, and your peace, no longer defined by the past, but by the promises of a new beginning. By the end of this video, you'll discover why you don't need closure from anyone else, because God Himself is your closure. He has already written your victory, and His plans for you are greater than you can imagine. Watch until the end and let His truth empower you to step into the fullness of your destiny. Don't miss this life-changing message of freedom, healing, and hope. Before we start, I'd appreciate your support. If you like the video, please subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated on future lessons from God. In this message, we will uncover the 5 critical actions narcissists take when they feel powerless. You'll gain a deeper understanding of how to recognize these destructive behaviors, protect your heart and spirit, and boldly walk in the freedom and truth that God has so graciously bestowed upon you. By the time we finish, you will no longer be trapped in their web of deception, manipulation, and control, but will stand tall, rooted in your unshakable identity as a beloved child of God. This journey is one of liberation towards truth, healing, and the indomitable spiritual strength that can only come from Him. So, let's begin. At the very core of a narcissist's response to powerlessness is a profound, crippling shame, a toxic, festering weight they have been carrying for years, often rooted in the deep wounds of their childhood. This shame isn't a fleeting moment of embarrassment. It is a deep, unrelenting wound that gnaws at their soul. It's an agony they try desperately to cover up, constructing thick layers of pride, manipulation, and control around it as a defense mechanism. But when something threatens to expose this raw vulnerability, they don't surrender in humility, nor do they seek redemption. Instead, they erupt in a furious, soul-deep rage, turning their overwhelming internal pain into an external hurricane of destruction and chaos. The Bible warns us, an angry person stirs up conflict, and a hot-tempered one commits many sins. Proverbs 29:22. This rage, born from their shame, is far from ordinary anger. It is a venomous, vindictive wrath, consuming and relentless. Its sole purpose is not just to retaliate, but to punish. Punish anyone who dares to touch that deeply buried sense of inadequacy. It is a defense mechanism that's as dangerous as it is insidious, leaving devastation in its wake. So, how does this shame-induced rage manifest in a narcissist's behavior? Explosive outbursts. Narcissists often fly into violent fits of anger over trivial matters, whether it's not receiving the praise they believe they deserve, or feeling as though they've been overlooked. To an outsider, the rage feels completely out of proportion, but the truth is that the trigger wasn't the event itself. No, the outburst is a mirror of something much deeper, a painful, unresolved wound that has been touched, one that they've been desperately trying to keep hidden. Passive-aggressive attacks. Some narcissists don't express their rage through shouting or confrontation. Instead, they wield a more covert form of violence. Silence, withdrawal, or calculated actions designed to confuse, isolate, and undermine you. They attack indirectly, making you second-guess yourself, leaving you feeling lost and emotionally isolated, unable to understand the silent chaos they're creating. Revenge and retaliation. For narcissists, nothing is ever truly forgiven. They rarely let go of perceived slights, even if they were entirely unintentional. These grudges become a festering wound that they can't let heal, and they obsessively plot ways to even the score. This vicious cycle, shame triggering rage, followed by more shame and even more rage, entangles not only them but everyone around them. It traps their relationships in a cycle of fear and confusion, leaving those involved feeling hopelessly powerless. It becomes impossible to have any semblance of a healthy, balanced relationship, as the narcissist's emotional turmoil reigns supreme. You may find yourself walking on eggshells, always wondering what small misstep might trigger the next explosive eruption. But let me remind you of something crucial. Their shame is not yours to carry, and their rage is not your burden to bear. The enemy loves to use this kind of chaos to weaken your spirit, to steal your peace. But take heart, for God's power is far greater, as Psalm 34:18 reminds us. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. He calls you to rise above the storm, to see through the patterns of destruction, and to lean on His strength. Not to fix the narcissist, but to protect your peace, your heart, and your soul. In the face of their raging fury, you have a choice. You can be pulled into their destructive battle, attempting to explain yourself, trying to make things right, hoping that somehow your words will calm their storm. Or you can stand firm in God's truth, unwavering and resolute, refusing to engage in their never-ending cycle of chaos. Walking away from their storm is not weakness, it is wisdom. God does not call you to live in confusion and fear. He calls you to live in clarity, peace, and freedom. Remember this, while the narcissist's shame may roar like thunder and their rage may crash like a violent storm, the still, small voice of God will always lead you back to safety and peace. As Psalm 46:9 says, "Be still and know that I am God. He is your refuge, your shield, your protector. Stay close to Him, and no storm, no matter how fierce, will ever have the power to take you down." God's love and truth are the anchor that will keep you steady, no matter how strong the winds of manipulation, control, and rage may blow. You are not alone in this battle. Keep your eyes on Him, and He will guide you through. When a narcissist feels their power slipping away, they reach for one of their most insidious and manipulative tactics, playing the victim. It is a transformation so swift and seamless that it can leave you utterly disoriented, questioning your perception of reality. One moment they are the aggressor, controlling, demeaning, and cruel, and the next they are the wounded, the misunderstood, the forsaken. This shift is not a sign of genuine remorse or self-awareness. No, it is a calculated strategy, a carefully spun illusion designed to evoke sympathy, dismantle your defenses, and reel you back into their web of deceit. This victimhood is not born from true suffering, but from a desperate need to regain control. The moment they sense they are losing their grip, they rewrite the narrative, casting VD 268 Micelles as the tragic hero in a cruel and unfair world. Their words drip with self-pity and manufactured sorrow. "I've only ever tried to do my best, but no one appreciates me eventually. Everyone turns against me eventually." Suddenly the focus shifts. No longer is the conversation about their manipulative, toxic behavior. No longer are they being held accountable. Instead, you find yourself soothing their supposed wounds, reassuring them, softening your stance, all while the real issue quietly fades into the background. And for those with compassionate hearts, this tactic is devastatingly effective. As believers, we are called to love, to forgive, to extend mercy. But the narcissist exploits these virtues, twisting them into chains that bind you to their destructive cycle. Your empathy, the very gift God placed in you to uplift and heal, becomes the very thing they weaponize against you. You find yourself second-guessing your actions, doubting your judgment, and wondering if perhaps you were too harsh. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should have been more patient. Maybe they are hurting. This creeping self-doubt is exactly what the narcissist counts on. It keeps you ensnared, keeps them in control, and ensures that no matter how many times they wrong you, they will never have to face the consequences. But God is not the author of confusion. His word exposes deception for what it is. Let your yes be yes, and your no be no. Matthew 5:37. True repentance does not look like a performance of sorrow. It does not consist of empty apologies and crocodile tears meant to pull at your heartstrings. Real repentance is humility. It is accountability. It is a sincere desire to change. And the narcissist, driven by their unquenchable thirst for control, has no interest in true transformation, only in maintaining their carefully constructed illusion. So what do you do when the narcissist slips into their victim role? You step back. You pray for discernment. You refuse to be swept up in their emotional theatrics. No matter how compelling their suffering seems, no matter how convincing their tears may be, you stand firm in the truth God has given you. Your compassion is a gift, but it is not meant to be abused. Being merciful does not mean being manipulated. God calls you to walk in both grace and truth, not to sacrifice your peace on the altar of someone else's false narrative. Remember this, the narcissist's victimhood is a mask, nothing more. Beneath the trembling voice and sorrowful eyes is a mind working tirelessly to manipulate, twist, to regain control. But their illusion cannot stand in the presence of divine truth. The mask will slip, the facade will crumble, and when it does, the light of God's justice will expose what was hidden. Until that day, stand firm, hold fast to God's promises, refuse to be pulled into their cycle of deception. The Lord is your shield, your refuge, your protector. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him, and He helps me. Psalm 28:27. Let Him be your guide, and no storm, no matter how cunningly disguised, will ever lead you astray. When a narcissist feels powerless, they do not sit quietly in their defeat. Instead, they mobilize an army of enablers who may not even realize they are being used as pawns in a sinister game. These individuals, often called flying monkeys, become weapons in the narcissist's hands, spreading lies, distorting reality, and turning others against you. What makes this tactic especially cruel is that these flying monkeys are often people you once trusted. Family members, friends, or colleagues. People who once stood by your side, but are now unknowingly serving the narcissist's agenda. The narcissist, ever the master manipulator, recruits them with precision. They don't simply order these people to attack. Instead, they weave a compelling tale of victimhood, portraying themselves as the wronged party and you as the cold-hearted villain. With trembling voices and manufactured tears, they paint a picture of injustice so convincing that even the most well-intentioned individuals can be deceived. And so the flying monkeys rally to the narcissist's defense. They take up the cause with misplaced loyalty, parroting the narrative they have been fed. They spread whispers that tarnish your reputation, question your character, and pressure you to make things right. Suddenly, you are not just facing the narcissist's wrath, but an entire circle of people echoing their deceit. The betrayal is staggering. The same people who once believed in you now stand against you, convinced that you are the problem. You are left isolated, bewildered, and deeply wounded. How did this happen? How did these people become so easily deceived? The answer lies in the narcissist's ability to exploit human weakness. They prey on the flying monkey's desire to avoid conflict, their need for approval, and their naive belief that everyone has pure intentions. Some of these enablers are willing participants, drawn to the drama and eager to gain favor with the narcissist. Others are simply caught in the web, oblivious to how deeply they have been manipulated. Regardless of their awareness, they become dangerous tools in the narcissist's mission to break you. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Their attacks are not always loud or direct. Sometimes they come as subtle jabs, whispered gossip, or passive-aggressive remarks that chip away at your confidence. Other times, they disguise their manipulation as concern. Maybe you're overreacting. I think you should just let it go. You need to be the bigger person. Their words are meant to make you doubt yourself, to guilt you into dropping your boundaries, and to keep you tethered to the narcissist's cycle of abuse. But God is not the author of confusion. He is the God of peace. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. No matter how many voices rise against you, His truth remains unshaken. The flying monkeys may spread lies, but God knows the truth of your heart. The narcissist may build an army, but the Lord is your shield and defender. He will not allow you to be destroyed by the storm. Resisting the flying monkeys requires strength, wisdom, and unwavering faith. It is tempting to defend yourself, to explain the truth, to set the record straight. But that is exactly what the narcissist wants, to keep you entangled in their web, reacting to their schemes. Instead, stand firm in your truth and let God fight your battles. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Trust that He will bring justice in His time. This battle is not just about protecting your reputation. It is about protecting your peace. Set boundaries with the flying monkeys, even if it means walking away from relationships you once held dear. Trust that God will bring new people into your life, people who see you for who you truly are, not the distorted version the narcissist has painted. Hold on to your reality, no matter how loudly the flying monkeys try to rewrite it. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in Him, and He helps me. Psalm 28:7. And remember this, the flying monkeys may be many, but God is greater. Their words may be loud, but His truth is louder. Their lies may spread quickly, but God's justice is eternal. He will expose the deception, restore your peace, and bring you through this storm stronger than before. The flying monkeys are nothing more than a distraction. Keep your eyes on God, and He will lead you out of the darkness into His marvelous light. If you have ever been ravaged by the heart-wrenching sting of betrayal, especially from those who wear the mask of flying monkeys, I urge you to declare this powerful truth today. God fights for me, and His truth will prevail. Amid the lies, the manipulation, and the schemes designed to tear you down, trust in the Almighty and witness as He transforms what was meant to break you into a mighty testimony of His unwavering faithfulness. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Isaiah 54:17. The narcissist's army may rise, full of deceit and venom, but it will never stand against the incomparable power of God. Walk in boldness, for the one who stands with you is mightier than anyone or anything that dares to rise against you. In the distorted, cruel reality of a narcissistic relationship, the cycles of devaluation and discarding are far from rooted in love, respect, or care. These actions are driven solely by transactional needs, what you can offer, what you can give, until you no longer serve their selfish purpose. And that's when the storm begins. At first, the subtle jabs can barely be felt, a backhanded compliment, a slight criticism disguised as a joke. But like the darkest of clouds gathering in the sky, it soon intensifies. Over time, that cloud swells into a tempest of contempt and cruelty, leaving you drowning in confusion, pain, and an ever-deepening sense of unworthiness. And then comes the inevitable discard, the cold, heartless rejection, when the narcissist feels they've drained you dry of all they need. They cast you aside without a second thought, with no remorse, no care for the damage they've caused. The Bible speaks of this heartbreaking cruelty. They repay me evil for good and leave my soul forlorn. Psalm 35:12. The very person who once worshipped your presence, who once praised you with such adoration, now turns their venomous gaze upon you, belittling you with every word they speak. The warmth of their affection, the joy of their company, has transformed into an icy indifference, a cold void where once there was love. The sweet words that once lifted your spirits have become sharp blades aimed at your heart. Devaluation is a cruel, insidious process. It erodes your sense of self-worth, piece by piece, like water relentlessly carving away at a mountain. You might find yourself constantly striving to gain their approval, to earn back the love that once felt so freely given, but it's a futile chase. The more you give, the more they take. The more you sacrifice, the more they demand, leaving you emotionally spent and utterly drained. No matter what you do, it's never enough. You're left clinging to the faint, fading memory of who they once pretended to be, asking yourself where things went wrong, wondering if you missed some invisible warning sign along the way. And then, without warning, comes the final blow, the discard. It's as if the entire relationship meant nothing at all. The narcissist moves on swiftly, replacing you as though you were never part of their life. Their heart has no space for you, and they step forward, seemingly unscathed, leaving you behind in a cloud of broken dreams and shattered hopes. Even worse, they often spin the narrative, portraying themselves as the victim, manipulating the story so that you appear to be the one at fault, the one who failed. It's as though the cruel rejection never even happened. But here is the painful yet undeniable truth. Their devaluation and discarding of you say nothing about your worth. It's not a reflection of who you are, but of their profound inability to form true, healthy relationships. Narcissists devalue because they fear true intimacy. They crave control, not love. When they sense the slightest shift in the power they hold over you, or when the excitement fades, they discard you to maintain their false illusion of invulnerability and dominance. But God sees you. He knows your pain. The Lord is near to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. What the narcissist intends for evil, God can use for His glory and your healing. The rejection, as unbearable as it is, does not define you. Instead, in the hands of God, it becomes the soil from which your restoration will grow. What you think is the end is, in reality, the beginning of your healing journey. When you are caught in the suffocating grip of devaluation and discard, hold fast to these truths. You are deeply loved by God, and your value is never determined by the fickle opinions of others. You are precious in my sight and honored, and I love you. Isaiah 43:4. You are not forgotten. Though the narcissist may throw you away, God will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:35. This is not the end, but the beginning of God's plan to heal and restore all that has been stolen. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Joel 2:25. It may be tempting to continue fighting for the narcissist's approval, to chase after them in the hope that they will return to the person they once pretended to be. But understand this: chasing after someone who only knows how to devalue and discard will only deepen your wounds. Instead, turn to the one who never devalues, who never discards, who never stops loving you. He is your firm foundation, your rock when everything else seems to crumble beneath you. God is with you, and in His love, you will find the strength to rise again. Hoovering, the deceptive trap of false redemption, is a cruel, last-ditch effort the narcissist employs just when you've begun to feel the warmth of freedom after their brutal discard. It's the emotional equivalent of a vacuum cleaner, pulling you back in just when you think you've escaped for good. You've started to reclaim your peace, to heal and move forward, when suddenly the messages begin to flood in. I've been thinking about you. I miss you. I've changed. These words may seem like an invitation for a fresh start, a second chance at the love you once shared. But make no mistake, this is their final act in their manipulative playbook. The hollow performance of hoovering, designed to suck you back into their toxic grip. Just when you're on the cusp of breaking free, they return, not out of love, but out of sheer desperation to regain control. The Bible warns us about such deceitful schemes, recognizing them for what they are: false apostles, deceitful workers masquerading as something they are not. 2 Corinthians 11:13. Narcissists are masters of deception, pretending to have undergone a dramatic transformation, but their motives remain as shallow and self-serving as ever. Hoovering is never about true reconciliation or healing. It's about regaining dominance. They don't return because they've seen the error of their ways. They come back because they can feel your strength growing, and they want to snuff it out before it becomes too powerful for them to manipulate. Hoovering can take many insidious forms. Sometimes it comes as emotional appeals, with the narcissist offering regretless apologies, claiming they've learned their lesson. I know I messed up, but I've changed. Please give me one more chance. They may draw on your compassion, weaving an intricate tale of transformation that appeals to your desire to believe in the possibility of change. Other times, grand gestures are used: lavish gifts, public declarations of love, or extravagant apologies meant to sweep you off your feet and reignite the fairy tale you thought you had left behind. These acts seem almost too good to be true, as if the person you once loved is truly back, transformed, and ready to begin again. Still, some will employ crisis manipulation, spinning stories of personal hardship. I'm going through such a rough time right now. I need you. No one else understands me like you do. This tactic cleverly bypasses your boundaries, appealing to your desire to help and to be there in their time of need. For those with a tender heart, hoovering can feel almost impossible to resist. After all, what if they have changed? What if this is the moment you've been praying for, the breakthrough you've longed for? But more often than not, this is just another illusion, a cruel trap designed to pull you back into their cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discarding. The Bible reminds us to test the fruit, not just the words. By their fruit you will recognize them. Matthew 7:16. True transformation is visible in consistent actions, humility and accountability, traits narcissists rarely exhibit. Their apologies are grand but fleeting. Their promises are empty, and as soon as they've drawn you back in, the old destructive patterns resurface, often with greater intensity than before. So, how do you respond to hoovering? First, recognize it for what it truly is. The enemy loves to send distractions just when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. The narcissist's sudden reappearance is not a divine sign. It is a test of your discernment, your faith, and your strength. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. Stand firm in the truth God has revealed to you. Set boundaries that honor God and protect your heart. You do not owe them an explanation, an apology, or any justification for choosing to walk away. Silence often is the most powerful response you can offer, especially when the Holy Spirit has already given you peace about moving forward. Trusting God as your defender, you don't need to fight every battle or convince the narcissist of your worth. The Lord will fight for you, you need only be still. Exodus 14:14. When you're tempted to listen to the narcissist's words, turn to God for clarity and strength. He is your source of wisdom and discernment. When their words seem tempting, ask the Holy Spirit to reveal the truth behind their pleas. He will give you the discernment to see through the deception, to recognize their manipulative tactics, and to stand firm. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your understanding. Proverbs 3:05. The narcissist's return may feel like an opportunity for closure or healing, but true healing will never come from the one who shattered you. Healing comes from God, the only one who can mend the broken pieces and restore what was lost. When the narcissist starts their hoovering, let it serve as a reminder of how far God has already brought you. You are no longer the person who fell for their lies. You are stronger, wiser, and rooted in the truth of who you are in Christ. You are free, and no one can take that from you. The victim playing flying monkeys, along with the cruelty of devaluation and discarding, may leave you drained, confused, and broken. It may feel like a never-ending storm, one that attempts to strip you of your dignity and peace. But let this truth sink in. That storm does not define you. It does not have the power to write the final chapter of your story. Why? Because God holds your story in His hands, and His plan for you is one of freedom, not bondage. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The tactics used by narcissists are rooted in control, manipulation, and deceit. But God calls you to something much greater: freedom. He never intended for you to live bound by lies, confusion, and emotional traps set by others. His word speaks clearly to this. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Galatians 1, that's the promise you stand on today. True freedom isn't simply the absence of the narcissist in your life. It's the peace that God alone can give. It's the reclamation of your worth, your identity, and your joy. Though the narcissist may have discarded you, God will never discard you. You may have been devalued, but God sees you as precious, deeply loved, and irreplaceable. Isaiah 43:4. Even when others betray you, God promises that He will never leave you or forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6. His love is constant, unchanging, and unshakable. God will restore everything that was taken from you. He will heal the wounds others inflicted upon you and fill the empty places in your heart. What others meant for harm, God will use for good. Genesis 50:20. The pain you've endured will be transformed into a testimony that strengthens you. What once broke you will become the very foundation of a new, stronger version of yourself that God is building. But to heal, you must release the past. Let go of the need for explanations. Let go of the desire for closure. You don't need closure from the narcissist because God Himself is your closure. He will give you peace that surpasses all understanding. He will write the final word of your life, and that word is victory. You are not defined by what you survived. You are defined by God's promises. You are chosen, you are loved, and you are free. The narcissist's rejection is not the end of your story. Instead, it's an opportunity for a new beginning. The storm has passed. You've already made it through the worst. Now, it's time to step into the light of God's truth and walk boldly into the future He has planned for you. If this resonates with your spirit, declare it now. God has set me free. Let these words be your anthem, spoken with confidence, knowing that God has set you free, not partially, but completely. The lies, the manipulation, the rejection, none of it has any power over you anymore. You are free, and in this freedom God will restore you, renew you, and give you beauty for ashes. Isaiah 61:3. As we wrap up today's message, I want you to take a moment and reflect on everything we've discussed. What have you learned so far? Is it the importance of recognizing toxic cycles, the power of God's freedom in your life, or the strength that comes from releasing the past and stepping into the future He has for you? I'd love to hear from you. What is one thing you've learned today that you're going to bring into practice in your life? Share it with us in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, please leave your comment, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. We're so glad to have you here with us on this journey. Stay blessed, and we'll see you in the next video.